Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are facing a lot of criticism after the DOJ and FBI earlier this week announced their investigation found no evidence that convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, who died in his jail cell in 2019 in what was ruled a suicide, kept a client list, or that he was murdered in his cell. President Trump has maintained that he has full confidence in the Attorney General. But in a Daily Caller exclusive, Right Squad panelist Reagan Reese reports that top administration officials admitted they're upset with the way the investigation into the Epstein files were handled. One official telling Reagan, "You can arrest all the drug leaders and cartel leaders, but people want closure on this case, and the Attorney General must find a better way to reconcile that." Senior administration officials also expressed confusion on whether the Epstein case was truly closed after the memo went out. One source said the memo from the DOJ read like the case was closed, but noted that there are still sealed documents in various ongoing cases. So, Mercy, what on earth is going on? Obviously, a lot of our friends are very angry about this right now.
Well, when you've got a lot of the MAGA social influencers, that's all they're talking about, from the Steve Bannons of the world to Charlie Kirk. I think that it's going to get to a point that I do believe that the Attorney General will need to revisit this, figure out how they're going to basically put closure to this case would be what I would recommend. But, you know, you're starting to see now these reports of this division between Dan Bongino, the deputy FBI director, and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And what's hard to watch from the outside is that the last thing that you want is to have this division within the administration and this become the story. I think it's harmful for the administration because then you're taking your eye off the ball of, let's talk about these successes on the immigration, let's talk about the successes of the economy.
Yeah. I mean, it feels a little bit like mom and dad are getting divorced. So, Jason, does that make you happy?
Well, I never like to see divorce. I think divorce is a bad thing. And you really love that analogy of mom and dad, you know. But no, I really feel not bad, but Pam Bondi, I think, is really like the fall guy for all of this. I think one of the things that you're seeing with these MAGA influencers is that they were told, you know, the deep state is keeping this quiet, and now all of a sudden the Trump regime is in power, and they say, oh, there's nothing to see here. And I think that people are not satisfied with that. So they're going to keep pushing it. I think they should have tried something else or give us more information and not just say, hey, stop thinking about it. That's not going to make it go away.
Okay. Well, back in February, the DOJ handed binders labeled Epstein Files Phase 1 to several conservative influencers who were pictured leaving the White House with the documents. But the Daily Caller writes, internally, the binders are recognized as a major misstep that shaped perceptions about the rest of the investigation. One senior administration official told the Caller that they knew there was never going to be a neat conclusion to the saga in the way that the binders suggested. So, I mean, Chris, what is going on? It was like a botched photo opportunity, and now we're left with this horrible situation.
It has been very sloppily handled from the very beginning, I've got to say. And now this food fight going on in Washington with Dan Bongino, the number 2 guy at FBI, and Kash Patel and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. It wasn't a fist fight, but earlier this week, apparently shouting and a great deal of disagreement at the White House, and Dan Bongino not showing up to work.
Like a normal federal employee.
And there's like a normal federal employee on any week, and really settling into the job. And look, they're talking about Pam Bondi resigning or being fired. They're talking about a mass resignation. This is very sloppy. And Pam Bondi said in an interview back in February that, you know, I've got the files sitting on my desk waiting to be reviewed. And it was just not specific enough. And in these government jobs, it helps to be very, very specific because there's a pack of jackals out there waiting to slake their thirst on your blood. And that's happening right now.
Unlike Chris, I do believe in conspiracy theories. I will take my tinfoil hat off the ground. I'll put it somewhat on my head. I've been following this for a long time, just, you know, out of curiosity. And if you wanted to tell the American people that there was nothing to see here, this is the worst way you could probably possibly do by saying, all right, holiday weekend, here's a 2-page document, this conspiracy that all of you believe in. There's nothing there. Okay, right. All right, case closed. Everyone's going to move on from that, right? Well, that's not what happened. Right. And I think even if Epstein did kill himself with no external pressure, which I personally don't believe, this is not how you make that.
All right, well, look.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.